Hey guys, this is Anthony or Super Duty Service. We got Jessie's truck here. It was leaking oil, turbo, but it also had a long crank. Long crank when cold only. It was not a long crank when hot at all. It starts just fine every day, all day when it's as long as you've already fired it up. So I just had to look. We did do this whole engine, well, not the whole engine, we did studs on it, but long crank. Now I didn't really pay much attention. I went ahead and popped the high pressure pump cover because we're doing a turbo, so I went ahead and popped it off. One thing that concerns me here, I don't remember ever seeing, and I guess I must have not paid much attention to it. This is the updated. I air tested it and it's tight. It's solid. There's no, I must have left the air through the IPR valve for probably, through the IPR port for probably 15-20 minutes, and it's completely sealed up. But the concern I have is this orange right here that's on the high pressure pump. So I have another one here. This is Ford one. Now there's no orange on it. That's an extra pump I got. Kind of concerns me. Hopefully there's not any kind of defects on that pump. If so, I mean, it'd only be the second high pressure pump I've ever seen that's bad. And the other pump, I've got it in the very back. It's the bearings messed up on it, and it catastrophically failed. But it really concerns me how come that orange ring is down there on that rear seal. You know, that kind of, I mean, granted, I've physically never bought a high pressure pump from Ford for a late model, so I'm getting ready to, because I have one, another, long story, another truck that we're making late model. But that really does concern me right there. Why does that have an orange ring right there on it? I mean, are we looking at a pump that is bleeding off from the low pressure side? The low pressure side right here. See, my first initial thought was, well, maybe the drain back valve, that little valve right there, was bleeding off and letting all the oil drain out of the low pressure, out of the oil filter housing. Because if that is draining down, then it would make sense the high pressure oil reservoir is being depleted as it sits, and then that's why it's not starting, because the low pressure pump has to pump up the reservoir to feed the high pressure pump. So, but that wasn't the case. We take the oil filter out and it's dripping wet after it sits for 2 days. It's dripping wet. So the valve does hold. The only other option, that's why I came down this far, is I'm going to go ahead and take the pump off and make sure the little yellow O-ring right there is good. Make sure that we don't have any kind of defect in the O-ring. I mean, I'm human. Maybe the O-ring is nicked. I don't know. Or hopefully there's not a defect in the pump. Like a scratch or something on the pump causing it to bleed off. Because what I'm seeing is it's draining the reservoir underneath the oil cooler right here. It's draining the reservoir, and that is why it's taking so long to fire up, because there's no oil behind it, behind the high pressure pump that it can pump up. That's got to be it. I mean, the only other option is low pressure oil pump, the regulator. Test the low pressure oil pressure. We got to get that. Test that up. But I'm already going in for a turbo right here now. You can kind of see how wet that is right there. You can see it. I mean, it's been dry, but really, really wet there. Turbo was leaking. So, I'm kind of, that orange right there kind of bugs me. Is this a freaking Napa rebuild pump? Is this a parts store that they use some kind of cheap crap? I don't know. I mean, I've never bought a late model high pressure pump from Ford. There's a good chance the one from Ford could have the orange right there. I just don't know, because You know, I've only seen one other one bad, and I'll go ahead and show you. Let's go ahead and go back here. Well, I said I've only seen one other one bad. Well, I saw that one bad, and I kept it just because. But it's noticeably, definitely bad. Here you go, right here. Yeah. The gear's all wobbly. I don't know if you can see it. The gear is all crooked, but you can see on the back, yeah, that's a failed late model pump. First one I've ever seen. So, I don't know. Thought I'd just take the video and show, you know, that does concern me with that. Thing is, the truck runs absolutely fine once you fire it up the first time. So, you know, I got to check the low pressure oil, which I'll do that. I mean, first thing, since we're going in for a turbo, I at least double check all my connections, all the O-rings and everything on the high pressure pump. You know, and shoot, I mean, and then we can we can check oil pressure, but that'll come afterwards, and then check low pressure oil. But, you know, it's almost like that reservoir is getting bled down. It's bleeding out, which has to be the yellow O-ring underneath the pump. So I'm going to go ahead and yank the O-ring off the pump. Go ahead and reseal it right here. This is just the high pressure pump seal kit. No STC fitting, just a seal kit. So that's what we're going to do. If I don't see anything wrong, I'm going to reseal it, put it back together, and I'm going to throw a different IPR valve in it. Because, I mean, I've got quite a few of them. So we'll throw a different one in it, and you know, we got to narrow this thing down. We got to figure out what the hell it is. It should be starting a lot faster than 7 seconds. 7 seconds is too long, so we got to figure out where is that oil going from the high pressure reservoir. Where is it leaking out at? Because it's leaking out somewhere, that's for sure. All right, long video. Have a good day, guys.